We will take it deeper than the usual self-inquiry, because there are deeper levels of the self. In Advaita Vedanta, self-inquiry goes as high as awareness, which then is basically equated to consciousness. But in reality, most commonly, it is the light of the universe, which is BrahmaJyoti. Beyond that, there are many deeper levels of the self, of God, and beautifully at the deepest or highest level of the self is where this amazing being, Meher Baba, was residing, being embodied and functioning from this deepest level of God realization. He also recognized this truth of the soul's journey deeper and deeper into God. And he recognized that many of the real gurus at that time in India were at the level of what he called the seventh stage of realization. So if any one of you is familiar with Meher Baba's teaching, he referenced that Ramana, Maharshi and other gurus of the time, some of them, not all of course, a few actually, were at the seventh stage of realization. Beyond that, Meher Baba explained that there are 5 perfect masters. You can travel India and you will meet many gurus and masters and their ashrams and places, but the divine souls are very rare. So coming back to Meher Baba, he represents his teaching, and the path represents one of the 7 divine paths. So on this one of the 7 divine paths, Meher Baba was the most recent, highest representative. And this is the path of the deepest, we may say, self-realization, God realization, to be more precise. So to understand that the present-day non-duality, Advaita, mainly reaches the level of awareness. The present-day gurus who are best known today, they reach there. Ramana Maharshi, who was the recent being who brought to the Westerners, we may say, popularized the self-inquiry with the famous question, who am I? He was residing in Brahmanda. And then if we go deeper, higher up, we will see that this track leads much higher, where Meher Baba was at the very peak of it, the peak of the Himalayas of Advaita. So Meher Baba, of course, he spent decades teaching at that highest level, and he spent about 40 years in silence. He gave the instruction of the word, which is the Shabd, which is the divine light and sound current. His light was the Holy Spirit, the divine light and sound stream. So with his light he blessed many souls on their upward journey. One of our students, well, two of them are in San Francisco Bay area, and there is one of the Meher Baba centers there. They live very close by, and they didn't know about it until I told them. And when they went there, they felt this great light, pure, pristine light. And one of them, there's another center in Los Angeles, and one of my spiritual friends, he was saying that in the center there is a scarf that Meher Baba used to wear. He's very sensitive to the sight, to the inner sight and senses. And he said this scarf is like a blast of light. It's like, it says, I was sitting there and meditating with it. And then I told him, we just came back from Meherabad. And, you know, imagine the light that is there where his body lays. And then that's one called Samadhi Ashram, and right next to it there's another little tiny house. It's not really a house, it's a room, but it's not connected to anything. So it's like a house, we may say, but a single room. And this is where Meher Baba lived for many, many years. There's his bed, and there were many pictures of him. So respectfully, people are allowed to enter and stay there for a bit. So we sat there and had a bit of meditation. This light, of course, one has to gradually adjust to, because some people may step into the most holy places and they will feel nothing. So every person will feel what they are capable to feel, to what degree they're open to receive. But those who are much more advanced and open in their consciousness will surely recognize the high degree of light. So therefore, self-inquiry is simply letting the mind rest. And it's not so much of inquiry, who am I, because this is just a technique. But this technique works truly in the presence of a teacher. So similarly, when you would sit at the mountain Arunachala, which is the mountain of stillness and fire. We had a satsang retreat there a few years ago. So it's a mountain of stillness and silence. And of course, even more so if you would sit when Ramana was alive. The question, who am I, is a million times more powerful than the way people ask, who am I these days? It's all about the presence, it's all about the light that supports. So that is why Ramana's teaching was simple in a way, because his light was great and the Arunachala was blasting everyone, whoever came close to it. And they would naturally become more still. So that is where the inquiry into the self is very supportive, it's easy. It is all about the support, all about the presence of the light.